Hello everyone, thank you for tuning into another episode of Hashtag Makeup Together, How to Make a Simple Dinner. This is where I'm coming straight off of work, trying to make something quick, simple, and healthy for my family. It is the beginning of the work week. I had a pretty good Monday, I'm not going to complain. So I got this recipe that I really want to try. I will make sure that below I put a link to where I got the recipe from. But it is for a dairy-free cheese sauce. So today I'm going to be making kind of like a scalloped potatoes, but I'm also going to be putting some vegetables in there and some pork chops and pouring over this cheese sauce. So this will be one of my experimental dinners, and I'm hoping that it goes very well, obviously. And this one does take a little bit longer, so let's go ahead and get started on it. So I have a pan here heated up with some olive oil, and I'm going to be adding in some garlic. This is about 2 cloves. They were really big though, but 2 cloves of garlic. If you like garlic, go ahead and throw some more in. But we're gonna just let this garlic kind of turn translucent. Be careful because garlic burns pretty quickly. So I'm just gonna kind of put it in the middle of my pan here and let that go ahead and start cooking before I add anything else. So I have been trying to find one of these recipes for the longest. Actually, for Valentine's Day, I had a friend come over and I tried to make like some fettuccine Alfredo, and my goodness, it did not turn out good at all. And so I have been on the search for a good dairy-free kind of recipe for a cheese sauce, and honestly, let's just back up a little bit. The one that I found, the recipe that I'm doing is like, it's just a basic pasta sauce, and I'm adding cheese, which is why I'm calling it a cheese sauce, because I wanted some cheese in it, and I think that it will help it to kind of thicken up, but we'll see what it looks like. But I've been trying to find just a basic fettuccine Alfredo recipe, or just really any kind of pasta sauce. And so I came across this one, and I had all the ingredients. In my mind, I was trying to think about the textures of the food and how they were going to work, if it was going to be like a saucy kind of texture. And I think that this one will work. And I'm pretty excited. It's going to be, and I'm adding the cheese. So the recipe that I'm going to put up in the description below, it's going to have the recipe that I found, and then just know that I added a cup of cheddar cheese to it, because adding cheese to stuff is usually a good idea, unless you don't like cheese. So I'm going to these are actually almost done, and I'm going to go ahead and turn the pan to kind of get the oil going around. Since this was a larger pan, I just kept it, kind of in the middle of it. And now we're going to go ahead and add all of the other ingredients. So the first thing that we're going to be doing is adding some almond milk. So I use just either Silk, or this one is just Sprouts organic almond milk, and this calls for 1.5 cups. So I am going to use a little bit less than what the recipe calls for. Hopefully that's a good idea, just because last time when I made it, it was too runny. So I'm just going to add a little bit less to see, because you can always add more, but you cannot take away what is in there. So we're going to do that. Next thing I'm going to be adding is nutritional yeast. This is Bragg's brand. I got this from Sprouts. So I'm just going to shake a little bit of that in there. And a lot of vegan cheese recipes use nutritional yeast. If you don't know what it is, look it up. It's a really cool product. All right, the next thing I'm going to be adding is some coconut flour. You can also use brown rice flour, almond flour. That's what the recipe said, that you can interchange those, but I'm going to use coconut flour. So I'm going to be adding 1.5 tablespoons of coconut flour. And in making pancakes, I have found that the coconut flour soaks up more of the moisture. So that's another reason why I chose to use the coconut flour. I thought it would be a good thickening flour. So I'm just going to stir that up. And the next thing that we're going to be adding is all of the seasonings. So I have some salt here. I'm not going to put too much because the cheese has salt in it. And so you can flavor this however you want. I'm just going to be adding a bunch of different things in here. Some garlic powder, because I really want this to be really flavorful. I'm going to add in some onion powder. And I'm not going to go too heavy on these next few. I just want a little bit of the spice. So that's a little bit of cayenne, a little bit of paprika, and then a little bit of red chili flakes. And so I'm going to give that a stir. So pretty simple so far. And so now what we're going to want to do is just let this simmer on high. It said for about 5 minutes, and kind of stir it as you go. And supposedly it's going to thicken up. So hopefully it will. With that flour in there, it'll start thickening. So while I am waiting for the sauce to thicken, I'm going to go ahead and get started on the vegetables. And so I'm going to be using a mandolin. Super helpful tool. It makes everything go by so fast. But you do have to watch your fingers, because I am still recovering on one of my fingers from a mandolin accident. So I just have my blade here that's cleaned off. I have all my vegetables, and so I'm going to just slice them up. And I'm a little nervous, not gonna lie. And so it'll make them all even, makes it super fast, and then I'm gonna throw them into my my pan that I'm gonna put into the oven, which I just added some olive oil to. So I'm not gonna do this super fast. If you have cut gloves, I would recommend putting them on, because this thing is super sharp. So I'm getting close to the end of it, and I want to go super slow. So I have these. I'm also going to be putting in zucchini, carrots, and some onion. I wanted to try to make this like a one-pan deal. So that's why I chose, instead of doing like the scalloped potatoes by themselves with vegetables on the side, I was like, well, why don't I just use the mandolin, cut them up, and stick them in there with the potatoes? I've never done that before. So we will see how that turns out. And for the potatoes, I'm using 5 of them because there are 5 people in my family. But you can use however many you need. So I'm going to go ahead and throw them in here. So I have the potatoes done, and I'm going to go ahead and use the mandolin to cut the other vegetables. As you can see, the mandolin attacked me, and I have a boo-boo on my finger. So, you know, lesson learned, just use the mandolin, or use the cut glove. Don't risk it. No glove, no mandolin use. That's what I'm going to say. All right, so I have all the potatoes in there, and then I'm going to just do the same thing with this. I debated just like dicing the vegetables, but I'm going to do it like that. I just flung one. And I feel so much more confident now that I have a glove on my hand. I don't think that I'm going to take off my finger, which is nice. So we still have the sauce thickening. It has about another minute or so. After 5 minutes, it was still a little liquidy, so I just added like another 3 more minutes. So we will see how that is going to work. So I'm going to use the mandolin to cut the rest of the zucchini. I'm going to use it to cut the carrots. And then we will go ahead and see how that sauce is doing. But I can tell you what, I am pretty confident in how it's looking. I think that this sauce might actually be the one to work. So I'm gonna put these in there and do the carrots. So So I got all the vegetables cut. I am going to just kind of mix them up a little bit to try to get them all incorporated before I add the sauce. So let me stir this up and then we'll check on how that sauce is going. All right, guys, I wish you could just see the excitement on my face through this phone, but it thickened. I'm so excited. I actually found one that thickened, and it tastes good. All right, I'm super excited. So I am actually going to add just a little bit more almond milk and then add the cheese, because really I don't even need the cheese. This is so exciting. All right, so this recipe is definitely good. So, but I do want it cheesy. So I'm going to add a little bit more almond milk, just a wee bit. And then I'm going to add in some cheese. So this is about a cup and a half of cheese. I'm going to use most of it. Some of it I'm going to reserve for the top of this dish once I'm done. So this I will save. I'm going to stick in the refrigerator so that way it doesn't melt out here. And I'm going to just let this cheese melt. I mean, I'm so excited that this actually thickened. And if this tastes good, then this, I mean, I can definitely use this, modify with the seasoning, obviously, but I can use this as a mac and cheese sauce, a gluten-free, or dairy-free, rather, mac and cheese sauce, which is pretty exciting. Well, it's not dairy-free because it has cheese in it, but it wouldn't have milk. So, I mean, and even with the cheese in here, it's not too thick. Like, this is the perfect consistency. This is exactly what I was hoping it was going to be. So I'm gonna let all the cheese melt, and then I'm going to go ahead and pour it over the vegetables. So now I just need to, while this is heating, oh, and by the way, it said 5 minutes on the recipe, but I ended up having to do it for 10 minutes. So I did add some 5 minutes for the thickening time, but as you can see, it thickened. So 10 minutes added from what the recipe said. So I'm going to go ahead and get the pork chops ready. I'm just going to season them pretty simply. It's just going to be olive oil and some salt and pepper. So I'm going to go ahead and get those started, and then we'll get the one dish all put together. So I got my pork chops on here. I'm just going to add some olive oil, and then I'm going to add a little bit of salt and pepper to them. Super simple this time seasoning. Rub it in. And then I'm going to flip and do the other side. Alright, so I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Olive oil, salt, and a little, or pepper, and then salt. I said that backwards. Alright, so I'm going to rub that in, and then I'm going to add the sauce to the vegetables, and we'll get everything all put together. So I got the vegetables here. I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil on them, and then I'm going to stir them up with that olive oil. There's just some of the cheese sauce on my spoon. I love eating food like this because it's just all the colors and it just looks so good. Alright, so next thing I'm going to do is pour over the cheese sauce. And I'm going to reserve just a little bit for the pork chops. So I'm thinking to myself, should I double that? No, I guess it is. Spreading. Okay, yeah, it is. So no, I'm not going to add any, or I'm not going to make a second batch. It wasn't looking like it was going to coat everything, but it is. So I want to make sure that everything gets all of the seasoning on there. It's like mostly in the middle, so I'm going to try to make sure that it all gets incorporated. And if I had some cottage cheese or some ricotta cheese, I would add that to this now. And then it would almost be like a lasagna, kind of. So I got it all mixed up. I'm going to add the pork chops on the top of here. Try to arrange them. All right, and I'm going to rinse off my fingers. And then I'm going to add on the rest of the seasoning, or the sauce rather. And I hope that it's going to taste good without making another batch. I think it'll be good, because then it won't be like overwhelmingly dripping in sauce, even though that sounds pretty good. But I'm going to flip these over and add some sauce to the other side. Gotta rinse off my fingers again. I don't like it when my fingers are slimy. Alright, so I'm going to add in this. And then, so I am going to cook these covered for an hour, all of it. And then I'm going to take off the lid, or the covering. I'm going to be using aluminum foil. And then I'm going to cook it for, well, I guess just until the meat is done. It said about 20 minutes from the recipe. The internal temperature should be around 155, 160, depending on if you like your meat well done, medium rare, all that. Alright, so that's all the seasoning out of there. And I'm going to go ahead and get some aluminum foil and just put that on the top. So I have the oven going, it's on 350. I am just getting some aluminum foil here. And I'm going to lay it on the top. And with the oven on 350, I'm going to put it in there for an hour. Alright guys, well the food is in the oven. It has an hour. So I'm going to take this hour and do my favorite thing in the world, which is just play with my son. He's got a new bike and we pumped up the tires on the big one for me to use, and I haven't ridden a bike in I don't know how long, and I really hope that padding is good, because yeah, I just hope it's comfortable. But before I did all that, I just wanted to say thank you so much to those who have been watching the videos, been subscribing. I really, really appreciate it. I have so many things that I'm trying to do, that I have planned to do, and one of the biggest things holding me back is just self-confidence, like not being confident in myself, and just really caring a lot about what other people think about me, and my self-esteem has never really been that great. And so even something as simple as doing these videos, it's helping me in a weird way, I guess, because it was really awkward at first. Like, I was talking to my phone and I was like, this is really weird, because I am talking to my phone. And then I even felt self-conscious in my family, just being in my house, just, you know, making these videos. And also just while I'm doing the videos, I've just found it, you know, kind of nerve-wracking to get over that feeling of caring about what people think about you. So even while I'm doing the videos, I was like thinking like, I have to like say the right things, or what if I mess up on my words? Like, so this has just really been the first step for me, I guess, in just trying to overcome, caring about what people think about me, and just, we are all the same. I've watched other videos where people, they'll mess up on their words, or, they'll do something that they didn't mean to do in the video, but they just keep right on going. And I just want to be at that level of self-confidence, and just to be really who I am. And I think even in my being in front of myself, as weird as that might sound, I think I don't even act like myself in front of myself. Like, that's how deep into this I have gotten. And it's just been, it's like a prison almost. A prison in your mind, just caring about what people think about you. So I appreciate the feedback. I definitely appreciate everybody watching these videos and just giving me that support. And you don't even understand how much that is affecting me positively, and just helping me to just get that confidence that I need to just go out and do what I really want to do, what I'm really passionate about, and being able to do everything with this company that I have created, that I'm trying to do stuff with. And the first step for me to do any of that is I have got to just get over the feeling of caring about what people think about you and all that. It is such a bondage. And if you're going through that and you want somebody to talk to go through it with, you can definitely talk to me, because I think that if you are working together with people, where two or more are gathered, that is a biblical reference, but also just in everyday life. Like, if you have more than one person going through things together and you're working through it together, I think that is a lot more helpful, and that you will be able to get through whatever issues that you are going through. It might not be self-esteem issues. It might be an addiction, or, something like that. But if you have somebody to talk to that is going through the same thing, and you guys can work through it together, it is very helpful. So if you have any of those issues, I would be glad to talk to you, because I am currently going through those as well. So just putting that out there. But I appreciate the help. I appreciate everyone watching these videos. I appreciate all the support. And so if you like this video,